Okay, hello everybody. Today's Thursday, and before we go to Michael, this is the very first time ever. I mean, ever, literally ever that I go actually live at the same time in YouTube. So you guys are actually watching this from YouTube. Hi. Nobody probably has the link, and probably nobody's watching it from there. But hi. You guys don't know, you have a YouTube channel, so please go and like and subscribe and anything else. But today I wanted to have Michael Webster as a guest. If you don't know him, he's been around in all these Facebook groups. I have probably known Michael for like 3-4 years in Merch by Amazon community.
Yeah.
I lost track of how many years I have been doing this now, but it's been a while. Probably since my daughter. Actually, my daughter was a little tiny toddler when I started doing this live. So yeah, about 3 to 4 years. Michael also has the say it.
Strugglepreneur.
Podcast. And I cannot say it for the life of me. It's like, don't say it in a row. I can write it. I wrote it earlier on the announcement of this show. But Michael has been doing print on demand for quite some time as well. Now he has a podcast, and one of the reasons I wanted to have him is because, yes, I want to talk print on demand. I want to talk print on demand, royalty based. He has a couple Etsy stores as well, but he's more specialized, onto royalty based platforms, aren't you?
Yes, I have. I'm on Merch by Amazon. I have a Etsy store, on Redbubble, Spreadshirt, Teespring, Teespring is an enigma. I have not figured it out. I haven't made one single sale on there. And then there's a couple more. Society 6. I actually even have a Spoonflower account, which is print-on-demand fabric. I don't know if any of your audience would be into that. It's
yes.
Probably the most interesting one.
Yes, actually, let's save a couple of minutes for Spoonflower. I know there's a lot of interest on that, and I know nothing about it. I mean, I just don't picture myself doing fabric. So, I mean, Spoonflower is one of those deals right now that it's because the mask for the mask needed has actually boomed in the last couple of months. People are having all these fancy fabrics from there. So yeah, let's talk about Spoonflower a little bit, into the conversation. I didn't even remember Society 6, to be honest with you. I have forgotten. I don't even know if I still have an account with them. I need to go check. Teespring, my lord, that brings memories. I started in Teespring in 2013. I did a couple sales, and it's when Facebook ads were so extremely cheap before Facebook ads were really, really something extraordinary. And actually, we have to say that thank you to print on demand, Facebook ads actually got expensive because it was all these people from get rich quick schemes in Teespring that started selling out these books and started selling out these little things, and people selling out these ugly shirts that it boomed into something that we have today. So Teespring, we have a lot to think about the print on demand model. They're the first ones that actually made it go viral. But honestly, in the last 3-4 years, I don't think I have a single shirt there either. So you're not alone on that one. I do not know how people actually make sales on Teespring anymore. They're around, which means that they are still selling something. But how are they selling? I have no idea, because to me, it's not worth it to drive a traffic to some store that I have no control whatsoever of. Being my store is there, so why would I drive traffic there? Expensive traffic there. If I can drive it to my Shopify store and get probably more margins out of my sales. So I don't know why people will still be using Teespring. Seems like it's very still people from Asia to still focus on that platform, but I haven't heard a single success story lately. Have you?
I have not. I don't know anybody that's making a substantial income on Teespring, but I mean, I still feel like I'm a newbie in this game because a lot of you guys have been around a lot longer than me. I started in 2017, I think, and in 2016 I was trying to do FBA, retail arbitrage, and then I heard about merch by Amazon, and then that led me into the world of print on demand. So I wasn't around for the Teespring heyday.
Well, I mean, these spring days were, like, as I said, like 2012, 13, 14. It was like only like a year and a half. It wasn't that long. And then print on demand kind of like went into the back burner for a little while. And then, it came back around 2016, and then it came back with a vengeance. So when you say you had 3-4 years in print on demand, you are actually a veteran in the industry. There are not that many that can say that right now. There is people that have been on the promotional products industry, which is pretty much print on demand in a different way, and that is a whole different business model, but it's very similar. And those ones, they have been around for decades, right? Which is a very interesting business idea to go into that one as well. So what got you motivated to start a merch by Amazon?
What I was doing, I'll have to go back to retail arbitrage to answer that question. I was, my daughter was born in 2016, and between me and my wife, we didn't want to send her to daycare, after she was 12 weeks old or whatever. And my wife is blessed with a good income, and we decided that I would leave my job and take care of my daughter. So I was at Kmart or Walmart or whatever store it was with my daughter in the crib in the shopping cart, and I'm on aisle 13 scanning whatever it is and making purchases, and I would take them back home, and then all the family would come home from school and or work, and then everyone would go to bed, and I would be awake until 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning, labeling, packaging, shipping to Amazon, just in time for it to reach Amazon's warehouses, where everyone else sent in all the same stuff, and they just keep dropping their price. Their price just goes lower and lower and lower. And by the time mine sells, I've made like $1 or 50 cents or something ridiculous. And I was exhausted and I wasn't making any money. And somebody mentioned merch by Amazon, and I was like, I don't have to touch anything. I just have to figure out how to make t-shirt designs. And that was very appealing to me. And I sold out the rest of my inventory and just went all in on print on demand. And I would tell your audience, if you have watched, if you followed Fernando for a while and you haven't seen the success that he has, or some of the other people you've seen around in the community, I'm your guy, because I struggle with it too. It took me a long time to figure out what a good t-shirt design look like, or how to sell, how to make a t-shirt that sells. So yeah.
It's amazing the number of people that were actually doing FBA, which, if you guys don't know what FBA is fulfillment by Amazon, which pretty much is you buy the product, you send it to a warehouse in Amazon, and Amazon, every time when Amazon makes a sale, Amazon ships the product for you. So basically, it's a very hands-off type of, business in a way, other than you have to spend a lot of time looking for product, packing, shipping, and stuff like that to them. But
Absolutely.
instead of shipping one box one order at a time, you ship every single product you have to the warehouse. So it has its pros and its cons, right? But yes, you're right. It's exhausting. I used to do the same. When I started working, the FBA model, it was because I got laid off from my business, from my job, and my wife had to go back to work for me to start getting this business going. But we had to do the same. We had to have my daughter with me because my two older ones were already school age, but this one was a year old. So I will have to go do all my buying, scanning with my toddler in my shopping cart. So, I mean, and you guys...
Oh, so you know what that's like.
Yeah, so you guys have followed me. Actually, I used to do lives for me shopping, with my daughter, opening the stuff or jumping into clothes. And I mean, it was part of that. So, and I enjoyed it. I mean, honestly enjoyed it. It was exhausting, but I enjoyed it. It was, I got to enjoy my daughter the way I didn't enjoy my first two. So, because we were always together. So now, do you actually like doing the designs, or it was something that was a struggle at the beginning?
I do like creating design. Like I have a creative bone in me, so there's a lot of things that I do that are creative that I enjoy doing. Some of the other like research and all that good stuff, I don't love as much, but on the whole, I do like creating designs. It just takes me a long time to create something that I think is good or good enough.
I don't love
So,
much, but sorry, my another one of my pages started talking.
I was gonna say, I heard an echo,
Yeah.
but yeah, it is something I enjoy. I just don't do it as quickly as other people would, I guess you would say. I'm not a graphic designer. I just, try to figure it out as I go and figure out the mistakes I made the last time and that kind of thing. I used to create some horrible, horrible designs. Like they were terrible. Like I didn't know that, I just thought, oh, fonts everywhere. This font that really only belongs on a wedding invitation, I would put it on a t-shirt and then I couldn't figure out why it wouldn't sell. Not everything belongs on a t-shirt.
I I have actually a folder, in my computer used to remind me of failures. Hello, Monty, how are you? Um, I have, when I started, I had no idea what I was doing, of course, right? And I knew how to use Photoshop because I've been, I mean, I am an autograph collector, so I used to edit all my pictures before sending to to get the autograph from a celebrity. So Photoshop I knew how to use. So I said, oh, I know how to do this, but I have zero taste on font. Okay, I mean, like if you watch the show The Middle, I am no brick. Okay, I have no idea what to do with fonts. So, and combination of colors, my God, I'm colorblind when it comes to that. So the first designs that I made, oh Lord, they were hideous. I mean, I had no idea what I was doing, and I'm gonna be flat out honest. Even till this day, I have no idea what I'm doing when I'm designing. I
Really?
know what I want. I picture the design in my head, and as soon as I go to the Photoshop, I come up with something completely awful. So I bought myself a tablet, one of those big tablets that you can draw.
The Wacom, I think it's called.
The Wacom, yeah,
Yeah.
or whatever it's called, and it cost me like $800. It was probably the
Wow.
worst investment I did ever in my business. I drew about 5 different designs, which took me like forever to make. And I saw a couple of them, which I was very proud. One of my drawings actually sold. Ooh. But I will be a very broke guy. I would probably be working on the streets of Paris if that was it, right? I mean, like, just trying to draw because it was very bad and not money making. So I started outsourcing it. And I know a lot of people that now outsource, but do you actually outsource, or do you keep designing just basic stuff? You stick to the basics, or you?
I do a little bit of both. So I have a guy that I get a package from every month, and it's like 25 designs, I think. And then I figured out text pretty well. Like I can do a pretty decent text-based design, but I cannot draw. It's difficult for me to create something from scratch. I can, a lot of times I will go to YouTube and I will put in how to create, like it'll be a tutorial, like an 80s graphic or retro graphic or something, and I'll follow along and I'll follow the steps, but I won't do exactly what they'll do. I would put a different text, or I would do something different so it's not obvious to someone that's seen that video that I just copied that video. So, and then I would try to take what I learned and like I would apply it to something different, to like a different niche or a different saying. But still, that's mostly with just text-based designs. So when I hire a designer, I want them to I want someone to illustrate who's good at illustration to complete a design for me. So, and I started out I was on Canva, which is, I mean, you're basically going to get just text designs from them. And somewhere along the way, I picked up Photoshop, and I've learned it well enough to create a design in Photoshop now. And I picked up Inkscape because it was free. I actually have Illustrator now, but I haven't taken the time to learn how to use it. So that's
Illustrator is way more complex than Photoshop. I mean, I know how to edit a file on Illustrator, but I don't know how to create something on Illustrator. He just confuses the hell out of me. It's not a pro. It's like how you cut everything in pieces. It's just I don't have the patience.
It takes a long time. I mean, it takes a while.
Now you say like font-based designs, like if they were like bleh, but they're probably the strongest part of your business, aren't they?
What's that? The text-based designs?
Yes.
Oh yeah, they sell a lot. Even the ones that I think are terrible, like this is horrible. Nobody's gonna buy this, and I put it up and it sells, and it blows my mind a lot of the time. I mean, and I'm talking merch by Amazon. I put those same designs up on Etsy or Redbubble, and they go nowhere because those people want artistic. They want more artistic stuff.
Yes, I mean that's a fact. But Redbubble is more for the artistics. They're targeting the C generation. They're targeting the millennials. They're not. They are more like into different graphic design. That a lot of the merch by Amazon. I know a lot of the merch by Amazon communities. People get telling, go to Redbubble, go to Redbubble. The reality is that about 95% of the people doing merch by Amazon, font-based design only, they're not going to have a success whatsoever in Redbubble. They may have it on Sasso or the other ones, but Redbubble is all about artistic design. Now, but however, font-based designs, let me rewind a little bit. Somebody actually told me one day, in one of my surveys, Fernando, why do you keep referring these to crappy designs? It's kind of offensive. And I had to say something. This industry, and yes, I mean using the term incorrectly because it's not crappy designs. It's ugly shirts. This industry was built on ugly shirts. And actually, one of the first millionaires made on the print-on-demand industries, they actually say we got rich selling ugly shirts. The print-on-demand industry is based on that. It's based on impulse with ugly shirts. It's pretty much what it was their origin. So when I'm talking about crappy design, I'm actually talking about this very basic, fundamental, random quote in use font that if you were to go right now to a store, you would never pay attention to it. But in print on demand, when you see it, for some reason, it resonates to masses and it's being sold to the point that now some stores like Walmart, stuff like that, they're starting to sell shirts with only fonts and things like that when before everything was graphic.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, ugly shirts for some reason are very attractive to people. Now, I don't see them very often in the streets, but I know for a fact because I have been there, in the factory for merch by Amazon. I have been in factories for some of my friends, print on my facilities, and I see thousands and thousands and thousands of ugly shirts being printed every single day. So those basic designs, it's what sells. And a lot of people think that they have to evolve into something very complicated and they have to go into these fancy graphics and spend $100 for one design. Yes, those may sell very well, but it's also the ones that you wouldn't give two farts for. I mean, my bestseller shirt, the very first year of merch by Amazon, was a shirt that my daughter designed. She was 7 years old. She drew a marshmallow that was burning. And she only wrote the word burned. And she said, I want this on a shirt. And I said, okay. So I got somebody in Fiverr and said, can you digitize the image? And it was literally a one square, very ugly drawn, two very huge eyes, mouth, some brown burned in top, and she says burned. That sucker sold about 150 copies, on merch by Amazon in the first 2 months. And And on to this day, I have no idea why. It's one of those that people loved it. I have sold it in different platforms in mugs. Oh my god, I have sold it so many of those on mugs. I haven't given my daughter got a full PlayStation Nintendo DS out of that, and I mean, because I told her all the money we make from that one is yours, and my lord, has she made any money from that thing? But it just comes to show that sometimes you don't know what is going to sell. Have you got one of those that you're like, this is not going to sell, and then you end up selling more than ever?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's the one I'm thinking about is text based, and it's without giving it away, it looks like a test question. And so there's like a question at the top of the shirt, and there's three little check boxes, like A, B, and C, and A is yes, and B is no, and the third one is something really funny. And I just put a little red check mark in there, and it's boring. It is the most boring looking shirt ever. And when I finished the design, I was looking at it, I was like, nobody's gonna buy this. Like it's terrible. Like it's flat, it's boring, no one's gonna buy it. You know what? I'll just put it up anyway, and then I'll do another one tomorrow because I had a bunch of slots. And it just started selling and selling and selling. It sells almost every single day. And it's got like 10 reviews, and I was just like, but this shirt is so boring. Like, why do people buy this? They even post pictures. Like people had posted pictures in the review section. I was like, this is crazy.
It just comes to show, right? It's like, this is an industry that people just buy because sometimes it's a gag product, right? I mean, it had this shirt that before it got completely floated, one of my designers actually came out with it, so I kind of take that it was I said, just go crazy. And this guy, he was like, in his personality is that he was literally a Casanova, right? Like he was like, he always told me, man, I have so many days and blah, blah, blah. He was always talking about those things. And I'm like, okay. So he gave one, it's like, okay, are you single? Yes, no, it depends who's asking. But like that, like check marks.
It was, yeah, mine was exactly
like that, check marks. And it depends who's asking. That crap sold a bunch. I didn't go copy all over the place, and I'm pretty sure there are thousands of them right now. But that was about 3 years ago. But it sold a bunch, and it was literally, are you single? Yes, no, who depends who's asking. That's all. Because it was sometimes it would say it's maybe. But he decided to say who depends who's asking. And that word changed the whole dynamic of how that shirt sold. Because, it was now like a player's, banner, right? It's like, well, I may not be single, but if you are asking, I can bend the rule, right? So we made it look funny and stuff like that, and it sold very well. But it was just, as you say, boring, plain, simple. You got zero graphic. It was just, actually the font was like, I never even think that the font was neutral. It wasn't like masculine or feminine. It was just, I mean, probably one of those free Google fonts that was just there. It cost me about $3.50 to get that design at the time, so I didn't complain much. But that made me a lot of sales. Now, you said that you hate research. Why is that you hate research?
I don't hate it. I just don't love it, I guess. It's difficult for me to find something. It's difficult for me to find the perfect niche as far as the way that I've learned that it should be, as far as the number of results and that kind of thing. Like, how do you approach that?
How to approach what? The research?
Uh-huh.
I hate research, but I do it anyway. I mean, I have so many designs now that I don't know. I mean, I honestly keep recycling now, and I use different services. But what I do is I like to, if I'm going to be doing research, I like to laugh. And this is something that actually Chris Blair actually taught me how to do. And I had to give him credit for that. Is he told me, like, go look for memes, right? And now think about it. Think about one niche that you want to design on today and focus on that niche. So I said, okay, at the time I was really focused, let's say, on teaching, right? All my shirts were for teachers. For a while now, I'm in a whole different niche, but And he said, okay, you are gonna focus on teachers. Go and find memes for dogs. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, just go and find memes for dogs and start looking at all those memes, and on the Google search, and in the images, and start reading them. And you just change the word dog for teacher and find one that will resonate. So I will start going and going and going and going, and then I said, "Oh, this one matches." So and oh, this one is like this this dog just wants to go and and sit on his owner's lap or something like that, this teacher only wants to rest on her husband's lap, something like that. You just change it, instead of owner, husband, and dog to teacher, and and now you started changing the little words, and then I was having a bunch of original ideas because those specific memes were not being used on my niche, so it was no saturation. So, and then I will go into the drinking niche, and I will go into some other niche, but I will always go to something that was not only opposite but bizarre. That you say, like, if I was looking for teacher, I will go like an animal that is very dependent, and I will look for something there that could help me. If I was going into the drinking, then I would go and look for STDs, STDs memes, and then I will start looking for something there that could trigger, because every single niche has different ways of making fun of things. So, and then that's how I did it. So I will be laughing while I was doing research, so it didn't become burdensome. So it was very different. And another way that I did research is that there is a Reddit that I don't remember right now the name of the specific Reddit. It's because I have a bookmark, so I just click on that bookmark and I go, which is about asking questions. It's all about questions, and people ask the most random, moronic, idiotic questions in that Reddit. But and I always look for the one that has at least X amount, at least 20, 30 comments. And I said, okay, this question is what's relevant to people. And you learn about a lot of different interests, what people want to do, in those Reddits. And a lot of those became, like, um, a lot of them became actually shirts. Those questions ended up becoming shirts in sometimes, and like they were like something basic, like what type of leprechaun are you? It's like, I didn't know there were more than one type. Apparently there are dozen types. Like what kind of wizard are you? And then they would give like 3 different options, because apparently there are like 12 different types of wizards. When you go into the medieval types of wizards. So it was a bunch of different things that people were asking that I was like, oh, this question could become a shirt. This question could become a shirt. And the answers were even more funny, because some people were answering back with another question, and it's like, oh, this one could be a shirt. So it's about having fun while you do it, because I know a lot of people go and do Pinterest and then look for shirts in the niche, and they use go and copy, or God forbid, the very, very, very creative people that go Merch Informer and look for what's selling, and it's like, oh, let's copy, whatever is here. So that is not research, that is copying. It's being a leech out of an idea, and that is not what a successful business do. Successful business to go and create something that your audience doesn't even know they want yet. That's how you actually make money. I mean, you just look at like that's the whole principle of how Apple was created, right? It's like customers don't know they want Apple yet, but they're gonna love it, right? So they create Apple, and they went and start. Now it's one of the biggest companies in the world. When you create a shirt, people don't know what they're gonna laugh about yet. So you have to kind of like give them that. But I don't know. It's one of those. Now let's go Spoonflower. Why Spoonflower?
Honestly, because my mom reached out to me, and she does a lot of sewing, and she said I need I think it was the church that she goes to has a logo. It's like a white dove or something, and she wanted to make a tie and a matching handkerchief for the pastor, and didn't know how she could get the image on a piece of fabric. And I started doing I didn't even know Spoonflower exists. And I started doing research. I was like, okay, well, who creates fabric, or who creates something that I can put my own image on? And that was when I found Spoonflower. I don't know a super whole lot about the platform. I think I have 5 or 6 designs up. And the reason for that is Spoonflower, uh, they're probably pretty good at keeping people out that are just pure marketers. Like Spoonflower probably really only has people that sew and are interested in that kind of thing, because they will not allow you to sell a design unless you've purchased it. So you create a design, put it up, and then you have to buy it and make sure that it comes out, you know, all right, because you have to create a seamless pattern, because people buy the stuff by the yard. People could buy like 80 yards of your design, and it's got to be, it's all patterned, so it can't be have a line going down. It's got to be perfect. So
Yes, Maria, I was actually thinking about you when I asked Spoonflower. I know you love Spoonflower. You see, that is what something that I'm the most afraid when it comes to Spoonflower. The seamless, how to end it so that when the next one starts, so it's like basically you're creating a tile, like when you do the house. But like, when are you gonna end the next one, the next block prints that the same way that this looks, that it looks like an infinite, and it always looks continuous. So I mean, you can do that with something very simple, but once you start getting more into all these little weird things that people like to do, it's an art in itself. Yes, thank you. So you just told me I'm not artistic. I appreciate that. But which I'm not, and you know that. It's one of those deals that I just cannot. I cannot break the barrier in my head on how you would do that. It's complicated. Because yes, you have to order a sample, and I know a lot of people use for the simple fact that you have to put money to buy something to test, which everybody should in every single product that you guys sell. You should know what quality you're selling, and regardless if it's mandatory or not.
Absolutely.
But how are you doing with those 6 designs? Are they selling?
Oh no, they're not selling. I logged in the other day, as a matter of fact, and I had 50 cents worth of credit on my account. But I ordered the book. I learned a lot. Honestly, I'm happy just because I learned how to do a seamless pattern. I watched some YouTube videos, and Spoonflower has a book that I read, and there's a command in Photoshop called offset. And what it will do is it will take your, like, let's say you're working with a square, it will take your square and cut it down the middle and cut it across this way. And it will take those 4 squares and put them in the opposite corner. So whatever you had in the middle of the design is now on the edges of the design, and you can play around with it until, you come up with a pattern that looks exactly right. And if you get it right, you can create a stamp of that image, and then after that it's basically seamless.
I got lost at my mind doesn't work like that, but I'm pretty sure that somebody who does Photoshop completely agrees with you. You see, Monty he's like asking all those questions about that. He'll have to try that on Photoshop. I had no idea you could do that, to be honest.
Let's see.
You guys use Adobe Illustrator for creating patterns. I like to use for creating pattern designs. That's the best. I don't know. Illustrator to me is, I can edit anything you want in Illustrator, but I cannot create anything. I mean, Monty, come on, you have to create my own logo because I couldn't do it. So, but do you plan to do more? I need to bring an expert on Spoonflower, because it's something that people really want to learn. I'm pretty sure, because it's one of those platforms that fascinates me, that I know I will never do, but fascinates me. I haven't talked about spoon flour probably for 2 or 3 years, but I have never really taken it to the point that, you need to take it to the next level and actually start doing it, because I don't want to get caught in doing so much stuff again. I'm trying to cut stuff from doing, like 3D printing. It fascinates me how people are making a lot of money with us 3D printers on on Etsy and all these different platforms, and even I mean on eBay as well. But I'm like, I know if I buy one 3D printer, I am going to end up buying 20, because I get that obsessive when I do something. So I don't want to buy the first one. So are you making you make full living out of doing print on demand, right?
What do you call a full living?
Well, I mean, it's your full time job.
Yeah, it's all I do. It's I mean, the IRS would probably tell you it's a hobby. But yeah, I make probably a couple until this pandemic started. I was making at the least a couple grand a month, which is nothing to brag about. But I enjoy doing it, and every year I see an increase on the previous year. So, and you were speaking on so many things. Like I am totally susceptible to shiny object syndrome and doing too many things, having too many things on my plate. So I'm very much aware of that these days, and I try not to venture off into new things. I know a lot of the people I talked to last year say you should focus on one thing, focus on one thing. But I'm so stubborn that I can only cut it down to about 3 or 4 things. So yeah.
Actually, I've been cutting on things I do, for the last year or so. And actually, I had one a very serious talk with, with a friend and somebody I consider a mentor in a way. And he was saying exactly that, like focus on the one thing you like doing the most, because you are all over the place. You're running the group, you're teaching this, you're doing your print on demand, you're doing Amazon fulfillment, you want to open your store, you want to do all these different things, and then you want to be at the Father of the Year award. I mean, of course, that I will have to continue doing, but it's like, and you are used all over the place, playing for all these tools, playing for all these different things to automate your systems, because you don't have time to be watching every single one of them. But at the end of the day, you're not really watching anything. You're just thinking you are, and you're not paying attention. So yes, I think at this point it's one of those that I made my decision on what I'm going to do, and I need to stop. I need to focus on one and probably two things, but the secondary is more like that, because there is no way to accrue wealth by having your mind separated all over the place. It's used impossible. I mean, you can be making money in every single one of them, but you're also spending a lot of money in every single one of them. And we start looking at the cost of goods sold and the cost of of doing all this business, and then you look at the time you invest in every single one of them. You're exhausted. It's my days were like 12, 14-hour days, and I was making less than when I was completely being focused on things like that. So you went to Funnel Hacker Live this year, didn't you?
It's funny that you brought that up because when you said that, it reminded me of one of the things that I learned there, and I cannot remember his name. He wrote a book. Monty knows. I think Monty has read the book, and he talks about the circle of focus. He talks about he got up on stage and he had a whiteboard and he drew a circle on the board. He talked about the circle of focus, and I think he drew Facebook ads in the middle of the circle. So he's like, now, so 100% of your focus is on Facebook ads, and that's all you do. And then he drew a line down the middle, and he had Facebook ads on one side, and I don't know what else could there be, YouTube channel. Now you got 50-50. And then he drew another line across. So now it's looking like a pie. And now he has 4 sections. So now you're giving 25% of your time to these 4 things, like Pinterest or whatever it is. And then he just started drawing more and more lines. So it looked like a pizza. So now your circle of focus is split up into, 20 different things that you're putting 5% of your time into, and nothing's really getting done, which, you should go back to the one thing. You should focus on the one thing. So
Tom Ferry?
What's that?
Tom Ferry?
No.
No?
I think I got the book up there. Let's see.
Now you got me interested on that.
Hang on, it's right here. Dan Henry.
Oh, Dan Henry. Yeah, I have his book. It's a very good book, though.
Yep.
Have you read it?
Not yet.
Well,
I'm more of an audio book person.
It's a very good book. I read it probably in 2 nights. I was hooked. I own a couple of his courses. He's one of those guys that either you like him or you hate him, right? He's such an arrogant bastard. But he knows his stuff. So one of those deals that I'm like, he's such an arrogant, but I know we'll enjoy having a beer with him. It's one of those that he's so straightforward. He knows what he has. So it's a very good book, but he doesn't talk about the circle of focus, I think, in that book. But I heard that concept. That's what I was interested in. It was some book that I haven't read. I got this one yesterday. I haven't read it. Have you read it yet?
I haven't gotten mine. I bought 2 of them and I don't have it.
Oh, because we want to read one into the restroom, one in your bathroom, or what?
No, because you buy it from someone that gives bonuses, and then you find someone else that has even better bonuses, so you buy it again. So it's only like, the book was what, like $8 or something?
Yes.
So.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. This is the one book that I've never read. You know how many times I have registered for this thing?
I read 2 sections out of it, I think. I have not read any more of it.
I have started that challenge 3 times. And every single time I get bored, I move on to something else.
I love ClickFunnels. I love what they teach. I think Russell's a stand-up guy. I drink their Kool-Aid, but I'm not good at, I haven't cracked the code. I'm not good at that kind of thing. So it's starting to look like, in the idea of focusing on one thing, I don't think that ClickFunnels and those strategies is something I should be going after right now, especially when their platform doesn't really lend itself to print on demand anyway. Like I don't think there are any print on demand companies that integrate directly with ClickFunnels, or if there are, I haven't learned them. So,
did you watch the webinar that I did last week? The one with the Mr. X and stuff like that?
Well, it was on, but there was so much going on, I wasn't able to pay a lot of attention, but I did catch when he said they didn't use ClickFunnels.
Yeah, they use ClickFunnels. It's another company that does funnels as well, but it's not ClickFunnels, and they integrate to that. The reason with ClickFunnels you cannot do is because the platform is so prohibitive to have customization inside the platform. So even though they help with the upsell, the API is not SVG friendly. So I tried doing a funnel with ClickFunnels, and I couldn't do it because you have to use ShipStation to get all the orders to go through some API, through some fulfillment center. And it wasn't very, if the first sale was easy to go through the ShipStation's channel because it was one shirt with 5 different variations on sizes. So I all had to do is create 5 different products that people will click on with product they wanted to buy, which ended up on having people pick up the wrong size. I said, man, I'm sure I selected small, and it's like, eh. So it was a lot of customer support because you couldn't do that. So I killed that one. So I went with I bought a bunch of how you call this, bottle openers from China, and they were like 40 cents. So I bought a bunch of them. I bought about 1,000, and I put them on ClickFunnels for free plus shipping. So it was like about $4.95 kind of product. So I was making about 50 cents at the end of the day, from the first sell, which wasn't that bad. I got a bunch of emails. And then the next one was supposed to be an upsell, which was, a baseball cap. And that was chaotic. It was one of those that so many issues in the API that I ended up saying, yeah, forget about it. I just removed the upsell, let people get all the free, deal. I mailed them so that I wouldn't have any copies. But ClickFunnels wasn't done for that. It wasn't even done for courses. It was more used for, to sell something. Even though the original product was a course, how to make a potato gun. They never really mastered that. So I think what ClickFunnels has is that it has an amazing community and amazing idea, but as a tool in general, it's not the best tool in my opinion.
And I hear people that sell physical products also, they say the same thing. Like ClickFunnels is not really catering to the print-on-demand community or for people that sell physical products. They push information products really hard. Like
Yeah,
that's what they want you to sell. Teach people how to do something. And that is worth, money. And you have to get people into a mindset that it's okay to sell your information, because most people think, they assume that because they know something that everyone knows it, and therefore it's not valuable. Not, you can't put a price on it or whatever. So that in itself just a little bit difficult to get through to people.
yeah. Now that you have a podcast, and probably someday you're gonna evolve into selling, your knowledge, a course or something. But as a course creator, I always get that, from people saying, "Man, why are you selling these?" And I'm like, okay, let's put it in perspective. The majority of people want to go to college, and they're willing to pay. It depends on the college you go, whatever. Well, one class in average is about $500 now per semester. So you pay for one class of philosophy, your P $500, which is going to teach absolutely nothing for your future. Some culture information that you could get from a gym, or you could get from a book that you were to read it. Right now, there's some classes that you're gonna get. I believe strongly in education. I have a degree and I have everything else. Many certifications, but I believe in education. But people are like, okay, you're willing to pay $500 to get something that is going to get you nothing, and you're willing to pay, $100,000 for education that is going to get you $30,000 a year, right? As an entry level, or $40,000 a year as an entry level. How many teachers actually graduate from a degree that they end up paying $100,000 to $150,000 for a degree, and they're going to make about 45,000, 55,000 the most in their career, right? And that's considered a great investment. But if I was to show you a course that I can tell you that you do everything in this course, you're going to make at least $2,000 every single month. They see that and it's only $500. They see that as a very bad investment, right? $500 is going to make you $25,000 a year. That is a hell lot of a return on investment. When you graduate from college, they tell you that $150,000 investment, you're gonna have to take 3 years to return it. If you don't eat for 3 years, you can pay for that education. Being homeless and everything, of course. But people have a very negative reception towards paying for small pieces of information. You see, when you take the first course, everything in the course is new. But when you start taking more courses, and people are like, why do you keep buying courses? It's the same information. I'm like, yes and no. You see, when you're getting more and more and more advanced in what you're doing, you don't pay a course for the course. You pay the course for one specific, you don't know what yet, piece of information that is going to change your business a lot. You're looking for that specific gold nugget that person dropped in that course. And if you grab that piece of information that costs you $1,000 in that course, you can double your sales if you were to apply it. So, and that's why, I always taking at least 2-3 courses every single time. I'm always looking for what I don't know, and I know I'm going to be listening probably to 20 different videos, and I'm like, yeah, boring. And then I'm like, that's what I wanted, and $1,000 is doubles my sales, that I was having on something because I applied it. It's a lot cheaper than going through a whole college degree to double my, to go and take the master's that is going to increase my salary probably $10,000. But people still see selling the information as something negative. They don't see the value. Why everything is for free on YouTube? Yeah, it is. Everything is free on YouTube to a certain degree, right? When you go to YouTube and learn all the free information, it can get you started. That's a fact. You don't need to pay for an entry-level course if you have the patience to go and sift through all the information. But so did thousands and thousands and thousands and really millions of people that are starting the same business. They have all the same information, all the same structure, all the same way. So when you go into something, let's say merged by Amazon, everybody does the keywords exactly the same way. Because when you are looking at YouTube free videos or it's only focused on one specific guru, or whatever you want to call them, you learn to think like them. So you follow that pattern. And that's why you always have to follow at least 4 to 5 different people so that you get, untangled in the way of thinking and start finding the solution, that is going to be the best for you. And I see that, in all these big, communities that people go and all they do is bounce against the wall because they're doing, it's like, go and watch this video from this person. Then you go look at this person's video. It's like 100,000 views. And you're like, yeah, nobody is going to learn anything from this video because everybody's doing it the same. So all you're going to be doing now is repeating what everybody else is doing. And you're not breaking the pattern. And that is something that people need to start also learning to understand. Then when you're learning, you have to change that mindset of, let me get what everybody else is getting, which is pretty much like going to, to high school. Everybody graduates with the same mentality. Go get a job, get a nice 9 to 5, get a house, get married, have kids, retire, and die. Let's follow the pattern. But it's not about disrupting. It's why don't you go try to do something? Why don't you go try to do something else? And that is something that it's still difficult to break that mentality in our society. So selling courses, selling information is still considered something like, oh, you're making profit out of me. It's like, no, you're making profit for you. You need to learn how to think different, and you're only going to get it because when you get a course that only 1,000 people got, now only 1,000 people have that information. The other 100,000 has the free one that everybody's getting the same. And it's all about finding the little gold nuggets, right? When you go to Russell Brunson's and you hear them speak for free for an hour and tells you all about how the funnels work, and you can watch all his training for free. And you're like, oh, I can do that. But then you pay him to be in one of those $5,000 courses. And then he tells you, in the other one, I forgot to tell you that you have to add this little extra page in the middle that is going to actually connect these 2 pages. And now that is how you actually make the million. And then you said, oh, okay. Now you pay him the $40,000 deal that he charges, right, for his members. And now he says, well, I forgot to tell you that, that if you change this word here and you change this word here and you connect it, and yes, do not have to have the buy button in the bottom, move it on the very top, make it the first impression, make the impulse. Some people are ready to buy right now. They don't want to read all the junk. Put it right here. And they he started changing everything he thought in the free, in the middle, and then in the very top, because now the people are expecting to get those results, right? So he changes everything else. And it's like, didn't you teach me everything before? It's like, everything you needed to know before, right?
Yeah.
And that is true. He wasn't lying. It's everything you needed to know at that point. And I'm pretty sure you have faced this one when you're learning and you are like, man, I already know everything. And then you know somebody that starts explaining something to you and you're like, crap, I'm a rookie again. And you go again and start learning and learning and learning. And then you finally reach some level that you're like, I'm an expert now. And then somebody else new comes to your life and tells you, and you probably these people were always in your life and you never pay attention to them because they were talking in some language that you had no idea what they were talking about. And now they start talking to you and you're like, ooh, my Lord, I don't know nothing again. And then you start learning and learning and learning. It happened to me very often because people come to your life and you're like, yeah, I'm not ready to listen to you. And then a whole cycle happens and they come again and they tell you exactly the same. And now you are like, okay, that makes sense. Now I know what you're talking about. And now I understand that. And then you go and start again and again and again and again. And that is the life of an entrepreneur. We have to find solutions, but we only find solutions by learning. So
I think you can learn from anybody. Like anybody at any stage of the game probably can teach you something or tell you something that you didn't realize before. Like somebody's been doing print on demand a month can probably give me a nugget that or have me think about something a certain way that I didn't think about it before. Now, as far as like courses, you were talking about Russell. He talks about something called the value ladder, to where you have your people come in. The bottom of the ladder is the cheap stuff, and like to me, like that level and like all that stuff on YouTube is all watered down. Lots of fluff, lots of filler, lots of extra stuff. And then when you move up the value ladder, or you pay $5,000 to be in that whatever high level course, they get rid of all that extra stuff. Like all the fluff goes away, and they boil it down to the basics, and they just give you the pure information that you need to know. And I've heard before people say, when I take a course, most likely all that information is on YouTube if I want to sit through 100 hours of video to get it all. But if you pay for the course, it's condensed into a small version that you can get the information out in less time. So I mean, to me, that's just the time that you save is worth paying to take a course or paying to learn how to do something.
When I started taking courses, and I did this on my very first course. I gave a lot of information in my first course, and my videos were long. But because at the time it's what people require. People require long videos because print on demand was starting. But as you start evolving and you go, for example, to my Etsy course, no video is longer than 10 minutes because now I have learned to condense the information to a point that it's more now it's to the point. And I still think 10 minutes is long because now I'm taking some courses that are like, $1,000 courses. I think I'm taking one from Rachel Pedersen. I'm taking one from Arne Geisky. And these guys, their videos are 2 to 4 minutes long. Okay. And it's like, but they cut the fluff. They are like straight to the point. It's like, here, you do this, you do that, and you don't do this. See you in the next video. That's it.
Perfect.
Not explanation, no reason for why. It's like you bought my course because you trust me that I know why. So you do this, do it this way, and don't do that. Move to the next. That's it. And I'm like, okay. It's and because you already reached that level, and that you're like, okay, all the fluff around, you already heard it, and you already know the reasoning, you already know the whys, you just don't know how to do it and how to get there and why you shouldn't do it. So you just go like boom, 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 and that's it. Move on, next video. But yes, we're completely went off track. So bring on demand back to business.
You know what? I wanted to go back to something you said earlier, sure, which will bring us back to print on demand, because you talked about how I think you said Chris Blair taught you how to look at memes for for teachers by looking, or creating new designs for teachers by looking at memes for dogs or looking at the STD memes. And yes, I took notes. Like I'm going to do this later. But yeah, I think that's really good information because, like you said, a lot of people will go and they'll use Merch Informer, or they will just use the ranking system on Merch by Amazon to figure out what's selling, and then they'll just send a link to their designer and say, "Hey, make this, you redo this design." But when you take a meme from another niche, whatever it is,
Whatever you want to call it today.
Yeah, when you do that, you can bring back something completely new to the niche that's not up in that fashion or hasn't been done before for that niche. And I think that's like a nugget for anybody that's doing print on demand or new to print on demand. And I remember one time you posted, I can't remember if it was a meme or if it was just an image. I can't remember if there was any text on it, but I remember you posted an image inside your group and you said, how many t-shirt designs do you see in this image?
I haven't done that exercise in a while.
You should do that, like, because it really got me thinking about, because I think you specifically mentioned, don't write exactly what you see. Like, think about it and interpret how many different funny sayings or possible t-shirt designs do you see in this image. And I started doing that on Pinterest. Like, I would go to Pinterest and I wouldn't just copy the things word for word and make a t-shirt. I would, okay, how can I change this, manipulate it to make it something new? And I think that's there's something valuable in there for print on demand.
Yeah, I used to do those things a lot, back in the days, and these are little things that I guess I forgot, that, but they were really helpful.
You're too busy worried about pixels, Fernando.
Yeah, I mean, it's and it's one of the reasons why you ask for feedback on people, right? It's like, how am I doing? And I realized that, and I was doing in this conversation for a little bit too. I started getting carried away and started thinking, and I forgot that a lot of people new to the industry, and they're looking to to get ideas and how to get started, and those images were amazing exercises because it was something that you could get out of it, like hundreds of designs out of that specific image, because it was, everything in that image was wrong. I remember that. I don't remember what image it was. I just tried to search in my old group, which is now supposed to be going into hibernation. But it's one of those that you're like, man, yeah, it's true. Those were amazing posts that people actually liked, and people got really involved on them. Maybe we should start doing that at least once a week. But going into other images that has nothing to do with what you do, it's an easy way to get fresh products into your niche, because it gets boring to see the same over and over and over and over and over again. And yes, I know that when you create something new, you are welcoming copycats, but honestly, I don't care about copycats. I have never really understood the obsession on people of always hunting them. It's something that I had never seen a return on investment by wasting hours on hunting copycatters. But
so there's zero return on that.
I don't know why people waste so much energy on hunting trademarks and hunting people. But there's people who make a living out of that too. So I guess that is something that you got to learn to respect. What else do you want to add, Michael? Come on, give us some knowledge here, man.
Knowledge. Let's see. So last year I put this concept to the test. I found a niche that had about 800 results text-based, purely text-based design, and it was funny. And the top, and I'm speaking in terms of merch by Amazon, the top shirts had sales. They were six-figure BSRs, which to me is worth the time of going into. If they were all in the millions, I wouldn't touch it.
Yeah.
Because you definitely want to see that people are buying shirts. If it's six figures, they're probably selling at least one a day out of that niche. And so what I did was, and I heard this from a couple other people, you put up a few designs. I think I put up 5 designs, and it was just stuff I made myself. Nothing that was like it wasn't super fancy. It's just text. Nothing that I spent a whole lot of time on. I just used different fonts or different looks or different colors, and I put up like 5 of them, and I caught a couple of sales. So I was like, okay, and I kept creating different ones. Like I did a retro version or an 80s style version or a, futuristic looking version. I just did as many ideas as I could think of. I think I made like 20 different designs or 25 different designs that I created myself. And I didn't do this in a week. Like this was over the course of several weeks or a couple months. And then I hired out, I think I had 3 designers I was working with at the time, and I had them all do 5 or 10 designs each. So basically I flooded that niche because it only had 800 results. And if you put it on, I think Merch by Amazon has how many products? Like 9 products. So if you put it on everything, one design, it's going to give you like 9 listings or whatever. So by the time I finished, I ended up having, like, for that search term, I had half the results were one of my products. And whether or not they were all good or not didn't matter as much as when you know how Amazon, how the algorithm works when they search, when you search something, it's going to move different things on and off of that first page based on the likelihood that they sell. Mm-hmm. Now, they weren't great designs. I'm going to tell you, the ones that I made weren't. The ones my designers made were decent. And I still, to this day, like the last time I checked, I don't have a design that's in the top 8 results. But further down, like half of the results on the first page were typically mine. Like it would be one of mine. And I had sales in that niche every single day. And it was a different design every time. And the BSRs were not, I wasn't in danger of having any of those designs get copied because they weren't selling enough for the BSRs to be that great. But I had sales in that niche every single day. But it would be just a different shirt that sold. So to anyone else, I would say give that a shot if you find a niche, or if you have something that sells occasionally, just flood it. You never know.
You went white.
What's that?
You went white on the niche instead of going deep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's that's what I would tell people to try, because it's a good little stream of income there, and I didn't spend a whole lot of time on it.
That I have never tried. It sounds actually interesting, because from the same design, yeah, I mean it sounds logical. I never thought of that. I may give it a shot just to get some data out of it.
Yeah, let's see what happens.
I'm sorry, my mind is just thinking. I went like, okay, I didn't think about that. That's the way I am. I'm probably gonna be thinking about this for a couple hours. Anyways, last words, Michael. Let's wrap this up. It's way over an hour. I didn't realize.
Oh yeah, we are. Yeah, podcast.strugglepreneur.net. Check me out. Just I'm not selling anything. I just get on there and talk about what I've learned in the last week or two. Fernando's on a couple of recent episodes, so go check those out.
I talk so much that he couldn't put me in one episode.
But it was good stuff, and I didn't want to cut anything.
Oh my God. When we finished that podcast, I was like, what did I just do? I mean, in my credit, we were like probably week 1 or 2 of the pandemic, the lockdown.
Oh yeah, it was like the last
It
week.
was like nothing really interesting going on, and we started talking, and I forgot we were recording. I thought I was talking, you talking. But it was like 2 hours, and I gave us so much. I don't know what I actually said, but it was too much information.
Well, I'll tell you this: if you listen to it, you'll learn what Fernando really feels about merch by Amazon.
Merch by Amazon. I have my love-hate relationship with that platform, right? But
Right.
but I still always, and I will always continue to recommend for somebody who's in entry level that they should start there. If you cannot make a sale on merch, you will never make a sale anywhere else.
Absolutely. I mean,
So,
I would say that merch by Amazon is kind of like Walmart. If you can't make a sale in Walmart, you're not going to make a sale in Target or Macy's or Dillard's, which is, to me, is the difference between merch by Amazon and Etsy or Shopify or any of the other places.
you see, Gregory Gagno Cabo, who's always in my group, he asked me today a different question, but with the same premise. Is like, will you marry, if this was a woman, will you marry her? And we were talking about a business. And my answer to that business was no, I wouldn't. But if you were to ask me, will you marry Merge? I say, no, she would have been my first girlfriend, but I wouldn't marry her. I would probably marry Etsy and would probably marry Shopify, but I would never marry Merge. But I think it's the perfect place for you to gain experience. It's where you need to start. It gives you so many possibilities. It gives you the biggest marketplace available. And you have all those customers at your disposal. You cannot make a sale there. You will never make a sale anywhere else. So, and when I say will you marry her, is because I cannot make the living that I want to getting only royalties. But for some reason, but for some people, that may be more than enough, right? So, I mean, that's why there is a woman for every single man. Everybody is looking for a different bride, right? Merch by Amazon, I respect people who wants to do full-time income. I mean, I know a lot of people that do full-time income and very good income on Merch by Amazon, and it's all they want to do. And I respect that. It's your own decision, and and the expectation, your income expectations and your lifestyle that you want to live completely fit with that model. And that is what you should pursue, right? Now, that is why I always give you options on what is out there. Now, there are some that are my favorite. There's some not. There are some other groups that only focus on a specific, platforms because that's what they are married to. But I mean, Merch. I think Merch is going to continue getting bigger, but I think at the same time it's going to continue getting more people. And having more products does not necessarily mean having more sales in a way. But because you're just spreading the searches, the more products available on that marketplace, the more options are available, the more options are available. I mean, people only spend the amount of money they want to spend, and they want to spend only one product. The more options they have, the less chances you get. So, I mean, and then the more confusion paralysis people get. So, and that's why, some stores only have like one option. It's like, this is what you want. You don't know it yet, but this is what you want, right? And in Merch, it's something that you cannot tell the customer because they are like, always is a next page, and always has 150 next pages.
Yep.
So, and even when you go to the page 100, the products they're showing you have nothing to do with what you were searching, but they always have something to show you.
Yep, they do.
So, but it's something else. Last words, and let's wrap this up. I know, thank you so much, everybody has been watching. Give us a like. You were watching on YouTube. Thank you. I know a couple of people were watching on YouTube, which was actually surprising. But last final words, Michael, for this interview and for life.
I would say if you're like struggling or having a hard time, just keep at it, keep doing it, don't give up. If you are having trouble and you're only listening to certain people, seek out some new people, because you have to find people that put things out that resonate with you. And I think that people that are putting out content, they're going to tell you what worked for them. This is what worked for me, and this is what you should do, and it's the gospel. And it might not work for you. There might be someone else out there that can speak better, that you can better relate to, or that's more your speed or your level. And that person might offer you some nuggets, or the light bulb will go off and something will connect, and things will just start working. So just keep at it, keep trying, and look for new sources of information.
Yes, you should always get at least 2, 3 people that you follow that have different perspective, because in that way you can actually pick and choose. When I know some people that actually like to say, and when you tell them that what they're doing it's not right, um, just because something works for them doesn't mean it's not going to work. It's going to work for you, or vice versa.
Absolutely.
There was a mastermind that I paid $5,000 to belong to, and this guy, we're always talking about the amazing word of using tags on Shopify, and I asked a question. I don't remember what exactly the question was, but I told him this is not really working for me. My sales are not coming from there and stuff like that. And the guy snapped and told me, we have spent millions of dollars in research doing it this way. We know what we're doing. And I told him, how you doing it? How you doing it with my product? And he is like, I don't need to do it with your product. I have to do it with every single type of product, and we know it works. So it's the last time I actually went to that group. Of course, I didn't renew.
Of course.
But it was like, it was total. It was completely disrespectful. To tell me, you are an idiot. We are the experts. We have spent millions, and you haven't spent that much money because obviously you're learning from our product. And it's like, God to hell. I never looked again, and but it's like it is. Anyways, man, thank you so much for being here today. I know your wife's probably about to scream at you because you're talking too long here.
No, my daughter just ran by.
It's all in your eyes. I can fear.
It's all good.
But thanks so much for being here. Thanks so much for everyone who has been watching. I won't say it again, but go to his podcast,
Strugglepreneur. Podcast.strugglepreneur.net, or anywhere that you love to listen to podcasts.
All right. Strugglepreneur. Podcast.net.
That's funny.
I cannot say that word for the life of me. Come on, give me a break. Anyways, thank you so much.
For the record, I butchered Fernando's last name when I interviewed him.
Oh, so everybody does.
Even now.
Do you know that I had to butcher my own last name so that people could actually say it? My last name is actually Sustaita, and I say Sustaita because I know that nobody's going to be able to pronounce it. It's from a small region in Spain, so if you were to say it the right way that it's being supposed to be said, nobody will be able to say it. So, and I don't even say my maiden name because that one people would struggle, because even though it's in Arabic, it's misspelled. When they translate it from the Arabic to English or whatever it was, they omitted like one or two consonants. So,
oh wow,
yeah, it's like everybody in the world that has my same maiden name, it's my cousin or uncle.
Oh wow,
because they messed up in our paper, so nobody can pronounce it. Anyways, thank you so much, guys. Have a wonderful day, and thank you, Michael, for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Bye.